Two homes came up for sale on the same lot in Kailua, and you can buy either one or both. 1.1 million, and on paper, about 98% of that number is the land underneath this house, not the structure sitting on it. Here's exactly what that means and what the Real Coconut Grove numbers say about buying a home like this one. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu, here in Kailua's Coconut Grove pocket, bordering the Kawainui Marsh. I'm not just giving you a tour. I'm breaking down the real market and tax data behind this specific home, numbers most buyers never think to ask about before they write an offer. This cottage shares its lot with a larger home next door, listed separately at 1.649 million, both brand new listings that hit the market the same day. No prior sale history behind either one. Buy just this cottage and you're in at 1.1 million. Buy just the larger home and you're at 1.649 million. Buy both and the combined 2.75 million buys you the entire lot, every square foot, both structures. Here's the number that makes this listing genuinely different from most Oahu cottages. The county assesses the land under this home at just over 1.01 million, and the 1948 structure sitting on it at only about 16,700. That's roughly 98.4% land, 1.6% improvement. On a purchase at this price point specifically, financing terms move the math more than most people expect, which is why I keep something separate from the listing itself. It's a free twice-monthly list of close to 100 Oahu homes where a buyer can take over the seller's existing mortgage instead of writing a brand new one, some of those loans locked at 2 to 3%. Click the link below, drop your email, and I'll send it over. Run the rental estimate and the tax numbers side by side, and it's genuinely useful math. The listing estimates about $2,200 a month in rental income for this cottage, which works out to a gross yield of roughly 2.4% on the 1.1 million asking price. Property taxes here run about $387 a month, so the estimated rent covers taxes with real room left over before a mortgage payment, insurance, or maintenance factor in. Get your own numbers from a lender and a property manager before treating any of this as a plan. Run the combined numbers, and buying both units together changes the yield picture. The larger home's own listing estimates $6,500 a month in rental income. This cottage estimates $2,200, a combined $8,700 a month before expenses, against the 2.75 million combined price, works out to roughly 3.8% gross yield on the whole lot, higher than this cottage's own 2.4% alone, though it obviously takes a much larger capital outlay to get there. Run the actual scenarios, and they're genuinely different purchases. Buy just this cottage and you're in at 1.1 million with a real, if compact, foothold in this neighborhood, no deeded claim to the larger home's yard, unless the ownership arrangement says otherwise. Buy just the larger home, and you're at 1.649 million with 4 bedrooms and full lot access, skipping this cottage's lower entry price entirely. Buy both, and the 2.75 million combined buys you the whole lot. The flexibility to live in one and rent the other, or rent both out separately. For comparison, a similarly sized 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom cottage from roughly the same era is active in Coconut Grove right now, asking 1.3 million for 828 square feet, almost the identical footprint to this one's 824. That's not a claim about which is the better buy. Every home carries its own condition and its own story, but it's the kind of side-by-side worth having before deciding what a fair number actually looks like in this neighborhood. Now, the neighborhood numbers themselves. Coconut Grove's median sale price over the past year sits at 1.395 million, up close to 14%, compared to about 1.15 million across the rest of Oahu. Zoom into the shorter windows and the trend accelerates. The 3-month median sits at 1.35 million, up 8%. The 6-month median at 1.395 million, up over 12%. And the most recent single month spiked to 1.7875 million, up nearly 19%, though with a pocket this small, a single high sale can swing 1 month significantly, so the 12-month figure is still the number to trust for direction. Right now, active single-family listings in Coconut Grove, other than this lot, range from about 1.12 million up to just under 2.5 million, which puts this cottage at 1.1 million, right near the floor of what's currently available in this neighborhood at all. Months of supply here is 2.6, under the entire Oahu 3.5, which is seller's market territory, meaning at this specific price point, genuinely affordable listings like this one tend to move before they sit long enough to need a price cut. New listings in Coconut Grove are up close to 10% over the past year, and the trailing count of homes actively for sale holds around 10, essentially flat, new inventory arriving at roughly the pace it's being absorbed. For a buyer specifically shopping under 1.2 million, that combination means real competition on anything priced accurately and very little room to negotiate once you've decided. If you're a seller sitting on an entry-level home in this pocket, that same data says list with confidence. Buyers absorbing inventory this quickly and not the ones asking for a discount. Median days on market here has climbed to 22, up close to 30% year over year, while homes are still closing at right around 100% of asking price, essentially unchanged from a year ago. Days on market tells you how long a typical listing sits before going under contract. Percent of list price tells you how close the final sale price lands to the original ask. And together, those two numbers say buyers are taking a little longer to decide than they were a year ago, but they are not negotiating price down once they commit. This cottage and its larger sibling sit under something called a CPR, a condominium property regime, Hawaii's way of putting two fully separate, individually deeded homes on one piece of land without a formal subdivision. Worth knowing if a two-home purchase is genuinely on your radar. The track record on Coconut Grove's CPR lots is mixed. One pair on a shared lot here sold cleanly within about 6 weeks of each other. No price cuts on either side. A different pair has cycled through repeated relistings at climbing prices without finding a buyer on one side, still unsold after 4 or more attempts. That smooth pair sold around 1.18 million and 1.21 million within about 6 weeks of each other, no drama. While the struggling pair has climbed from an original 875,000 to about 1.17 million to close to 1.2 million across multiple relistings, prices going up with every attempt, not down, and still no buyer. I go deeper into all 3 of those precedent stories, including a repriced pair that eventually sold after real price cuts in the companion video on the larger home sharing this lot. But the short version is the CPR structure itself doesn't decide whether a lot sells fast or sits. Accurate pricing on each individual unit does. Zoom out further and 37 single-family listings in this same neighborhood canceled or expired without selling over the past 2 years, ranging from about 600,000 up to just over 2.5 million, with a median right around 1.23 million. That's real. Sourced off-market inventory, not a sign of a weak market. Closed sales here are actually up over 17%, but a reminder that pricing has to match the moment a home lists at any price point, including this one. It's also worth understanding why a seller would list 2 homes on one lot separately, rather than marketing it as one combined property in the first place. Splitting it opens the buyer pool 2 different ways at once. Someone with a smaller budget can buy in at this cottage's price point. Someone wanting the full package can take both, and the seller isn't forced to find one buyer willing to write one enormous check. Quick note here, since we're standing in it, this backyard belongs to the larger home sharing this lot, not the smaller cottage. I'm pointing it out because if buying both units together is on your radar, this yard is part of what you'd get with the bigger listing, not the smaller one. Buy just the cottage and this yard isn't included unless the ownership agreement says otherwise. Both listings went active the same day, and both are still sitting at 9 days on market with no price movement yet. Real interest on both sides so far. No need for either side to cut price this early. As for the cottage itself, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom layout, 824 square feet of living space, 1,154 total, including a covered lanai and carport, built in 1948 and remodeled in 2010. It shares a two-car carport with the larger home next door, and laundry here is set up outdoors rather than in an interior room. Worth knowing if you're used to indoor laundry. Zoning is R5 residential, and the flood zone designation is AH, an area of shallow, typically 1 to 2 foot flooding rather than the deeper water zones closer to open coastline. Not disqualifying on its own, but worth an actual insurance quote before you're deep into escrow. Buy both units together and the combined lot works out to about $667 a square foot across roughly 4,120 total square feet. Still under that neighborhood average even after combining two separate purchases into one. To put the whole picture back together, 1.1 million for this cottage alone, 1.649 million for the larger home sharing the lot, 2.75 million if you take both. Whichever piece of this you're actually considering, an entry-level cottage, the larger sibling, or the whole lot, the numbers here are the starting point, not the final answer. Your own lender and agent fill in the rest. And if financing is part of your decision, that free assumable loans list, close to 100 Oahu homes, updated twice a month, is still sitting at the link below. Drop your email and I'll send it over. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.